Good evening. It's Sunday, December 9th, and this is OpenMicVO brought to you by World Voices. Thanks so much for coming and participating tonight. Only 16 shopping days left till Christmas. There's a scary thought. Once again, I want to thank you for being here tonight. It's open topic, so anything to do with voiceover is open for discussion tonight. Q&A, comments. I definitely want to talk about the new Voice 123, the changes they made yesterday to their platform. To me, it looks like a bit of a hot mess. I haven't really figured it out yet. Hopefully, some of you have some opinions on it as well. Just a couple of housekeeping things I want to go over first. Number one is definitely don't want to dissuade you from participating fully in tonight's conversation. So please, make sure if you've got something to offer, a question to ask, that you don't hesitate to do so. But I do want to ask you, if you're not actively participating in the conversation, to please keep your mic muted. That way we don't have problems with echo and feedback and background noise, things like that. Second thing I want to mention is that OpenMicVO is brought to you by World Voices, the largest professional organization for voice actors in the world, at least as far as we know. But I do want to mention that anything that I say tonight, anything that is spoken about by any of tonight's attendees, are their own opinions or my own opinion, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of World Voices. The third thing I want to mention is that we're all professionals here, so let's make sure we keep the communication positive and no flaming, please. And the fourth thing is that we record OpenMicVO and it gets posted to YouTube. So just keep that in mind. If you are going to be providing us with any information tonight that might be sensitive, it might be proprietary, or you're under an NDA, just be very careful, because once the episode gets posted to YouTube, who knows where that might end up. So, again, I'm going to start unmuting people. Tonight is open talk, so any topic with regards to voiceover is welcome. I'm particularly interested in hearing about anyone who's had a chance to play with the new Voice 123 interface, and to get a sense as to what you think about it. Once you see that you're unmuted, if you want to start us off with the first question, the first comment, that's awesome.
Hi.
Hey, Sarah, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I was wondering, I've been trying to do some direct marketing, but do you have any other recommendations for someone who's starting out in voice acting to get in touch and hopefully get some new clients?
So the question is about business development, how to go about reaching out and getting new clients. Sorry, I'm just making some notes here. Anybody have any thoughts, any opinions on reaching out and getting new clients? It sounds like Sarah's already doing work when it comes to direct marketing. Sarah, do you participate in the online casting sites?
I do. I'm a member of Voice 123.
Have you checked it out in the last day?
I have checked it out. I haven't really auditioned for anything since the changes were made, though.
I am finding it. I'm not finding it a whole lot of an improvement yet. But I guess time will tell as they continue to shake out some of the bugs and missing features that hopefully they'll be adding back in. So again, Sarah's asking about business development activities, anything that she could be doing in order to build her business aside from direct marketing. Just making some notes here. So let's table that question for the moment. Then we'll bring it back up again once we have a few more people on the line with us tonight. Sarah's adding that she's somewhat worried about the changes to Voice 123 because she's fairly new to the Voice 123 platform, and she understands that these changes might affect the number of invitations that she receives. As I understand it, it's not supposed to impact the number of invitations that we receive, I don't think, because they've done away with the whole SmartCast system. But I'm not quite sure what that means by they've done away with it, because I still understand that the number of invitations that you receive will be impacted by the number of likes that you receive on your auditions, etc. So it's still unclear as to how these changes are going to impact us and the invitations that we receive. I just find from a user experience standpoint that in their efforts to make it mobile friendly, it certainly doesn't look very appealing when you look at it on a full-size monitor. Because it really is kind of restricted to, one column down the center of your monitor and, lots of white space on each side in order to make it mobile friendly. I guess part of it is just, I've been so used to the old platform for so long that not being able to find familiar features and familiar things and there's places I'm used to finding them has been a little bit of a shock. Who else here tonight has a question for us? It's open topic night, so anything to do with voiceover is welcome. Last week we were talking about what we were going to be doing for 2019 in order to build our businesses. So I'm interested to hear if anyone has any further ideas on their activities in the first few weeks of 2019 to grow as a voice actor. What is it you're looking for Christmas that's related to voice acting? Are you looking for a new demo? Are you looking for a new piece of equipment? What is it that you want Santa to bring you for Christmas this year? We have a fairly small group here tonight. So an intimate group, so that works to our advantage because it means that we can have a more open and kind of freewheeling conversation. So anybody has any questions about voiceover, any comments, anything about the new Voice 123 user interface and the new invitation system? Anything is welcome to be tabled tonight as part of our conversation. It might be a pretty quick OpenMicVO tonight because again we have a fairly small group of people with us.
I was going to say, for people who want to talk for a living, it's pretty quiet out there.
It certainly is. How are you tonight, James?
I'm good. My shins are a little bit sore. I did a lot of walking today. I went to a voice actors of New York City gathering this afternoon, and I walked from the Port Authority at 42nd Street all the way down to the to Greenwich Village, and my shins are really sore.
What is the name of the lady that kind of has put together the voice actors of New York, that group?
Karen Gilfrey.
Karen, that's right.
Yeah.
And I hear she's just a dynamo. She's doing really good things there.
I don't know where she gets all her energy. This group has only been in existence for just over a year, I think.
Right.
She said today.
Yep.
And it's nuts what she's done with this organization. She puts these little gatherings together. She has classes that are basically free. She doesn't charge anybody anything. It's a donation based, basically. It's just crazy what she's put together. And the classes that she does charge something for, she doesn't make anything from it, but it just covers the cost of renting the space to conduct these classes. I mean, she's just amazing.
Who's teaching these classes?
She's got one coming up. Johnny Heller's actually doing one pretty soon on audiobooks. She's got one, I can't remember his name right off the bat, but he's actually an engineer, studio engineer, who's going to be talking about, putting together home studio stuff that you need, talk about software, talk about processing, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go to that one. That's on in the middle of next month, I think. She does these things called teach-a-thons, where she gets, different aspects of people in different aspects of the business. Some are engineers, some do like I gave a little talk on putting together home studio, because I just built my own very recently, and Tom Deere did one on e-learning. The last one, Carol Monda did a thing about audiobooks in general, but nothing really specific, because these things are encompass a wide range of topics, and everybody gets about 20 minutes to do their presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my little PowerPoint thing done, and I came in right on time.
How many people is she getting out to her events?
It's hard to say. It's a fairly large room. There are chairs and benches and everything, and we all have a good time. She has usually something like 6 presenters, and do 3. She takes a break, and then we do the rest of the 3, and then we sit around and BS for a while.
So you just upgraded your computer this past week?
I did yesterday. I put the whole thing together yesterday, and I've dumped all the software I need just to start recording. I'm going to dump the rest of it in as I need it. But man, my brain is dripping into my shoes right now.
No hiccups? Everything seems to have gone well?
Everything seems to be going well. The one thing that I'm really proud that I discovered, I use Reaper as my DAW.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had 3 interfaces. One is an AGO3 Yamaha. The other one is a Scarlett 2i2. And the one that I just bought was a PreSonus Studio 2.6. And for some reason, the drivers, I also use Isotope RX7 to do some processing with. So there is a way that I can have Reaper and RX7 open at the same time, and I can just bounce files back and forth. I don't have to save anything and put it in another program, then close that program, and then bring the other one up and put the file back in. I can just sort of like handshake things. But the weird thing was, with the AGO3 driver and the PreSonus driver, they didn't want to play well with each other. I couldn't have both programs open for them to talk well with each other, and I couldn't figure it out. I could do that with the 2i2 interface, but I couldn't do it with the other two. I couldn't figure it out. And as I was loading things into this new computer, when I went into RX7 and looked at the preferences, The default was to default to I'm on a PC. So the default was to an MME driver rather than an ASIO driver. But from the MME driver, you can choose to have input and output from those interfaces. And now everybody's playing nice together.
Glad to hear it.
But it took me 2 months to figure that out. I was on Skype sessions with Don Barnes because he's the RX guru, and we were trying to figure this out. And I let him take control of my computer, and we were still messing around with it. And it was just really, really strange. And all of a sudden, this it's like manna from heaven. The light came on, and everything is just nice now.
Do you have any experience with Audacity, James?
I do.
So Bill's asking, what's the difference between Punch and Roll on Audacity, the new version,
right,
versus Reaper?
All right. Reaper is a non-destructive program, meaning that when you record something and it's in there, it's there. Even though you don't see it, the waveform that you see on the screen is merely a representation of the files that are being recorded. Audacity is almost exactly the opposite. What you see on the screen is what you have recorded. It is the WAV file. And if you overwrite that WAV file, what you've overwritten is gone. So if you're doing Punch and Roll in Audacity, and I took a little bit of heat for this from the creators of Audacity, but if you do Punch and Roll in Audacity, say that you've recorded, and you make a mistake. Oh crap, I've made a mistake. So I have to go back and I put my 3-second pre-roll or whatever your pre-roll is, and then you get to that punch point and you start recording again. Anything that you've recorded over from that point on is gone. So everything that you have now is just new stuff. Even if you only made a little mistake in the middle and you want to keep, like you said, the instead of and you want to keep that little piece, in the middle of that sentence and keep the rest of the sentence, you can't. In Reaper, you can. Because you can, I can cut in a syllable in Reaper.
So it's the difference between destructive and non-destructive editing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is, working in Audacity is like working with analog tape. It's the only thing that I can liken it to. And that's where Punch and Roll comes from. Is it's a musician's term, really. And it should be roll and punch, because what happens is the tape rolls and you punch in.
Right.
So, and if you're doing it with analog tape with, those big 4-track and 16-track machines, once you've recorded over what you've done previously, it's gone. The rest of it is just new recording. So that's destructive. Whereas with digital, most digital DAWs, not all, but most of them are non-destructive. Whereas all of the material that you have is always there, which is really important to me when I'm doing audiobooks, in that when I do a punch, if I've made a mistake, which I make plenty of them, and I continue on, if I'm off a little bit, like there's a latency problem, or I'm just off a little bit and I don't come in on time, or it comes in late, the material that I've recorded before, it's like just in back of the new recording. So sometimes I can fudge it a little bit and fine tune the editing, because all of that information is still there. In Audacity, if your punch isn't, if you have a latency problem with your computer or your interface or whatever, and if your punch isn't exact, then you're SOL and you have to go back and undo and do it again.
Got it. Thank you, James.
Sure.
Has anyone heard of the website Upwork? And if so, any opinions? To the best of my knowledge, Upwork is it's not specific to voiceover, it's just freelance in general. So it's basically another Fiverr. And my opinion on Upwork would be the same as it is, my opinion on Fiverr. And that is that, there is an opportunity, I would guess, to get some work there. I think that Fiverr gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes, because just because it's called Fiverr doesn't mean that jobs are going for $5. It is possible to get some decent work on Fiverr. I've certainly played around with it, but you're certainly not going to land your next $3,000 job there either. Pat, if you were interested in that type of kind of low-end website, I would suggest that you go to Fiverr first, just because it's much better established when it comes to people looking for voiceover than to Upwork. I would rather see you go to voice123.com instead, where the budgets are far more competitive with what realistic rates should be for the work that it is that you're doing. Anybody else have any experience or any thoughts on Upwork? And I'll also circle back to the question Sarah asked earlier, and that is just any general ideas on building her business aside from direct marketing. So if anyone has anything they want to weigh in on that, that's more than welcome as well. 22 minutes after the hour, and just again want to mention that tonight is open topic night. Anything to do with voiceover is welcome. So any conversation, any question that you might have with regards to the biz is more than welcome. Okay, we'll give it another moment or two if anyone has any questions. If not, then maybe we'll have to call it a night early tonight. Again, people are getting Christmas preparations underway, and we have a fairly small number on here tonight. So I definitely don't want to keep people if we aren't going to have an active conversation. Anyone want to sneak a question in before we call it a night? Well, I'm sorry that we ended early tonight, but again, there's a fairly small number of us on the line, so we will try again next week. So between now and then, work hard and audition lots, book lots of work, and we'll talk to you next Sunday. Have a good night, everybody.